Welcome to the Service on News for the week of August 29th. Let's see what I picked out. So last week I came across this post by Scott Trumbull. Him and I used to work together at Fruition Partners. And so I always like to highlight folks that I know and recognize. And syntax macros are always something that I forget about. But as he puts it in his words, with a couple keystrokes, you can automatically build common code or header blocks. Just type in the keyword followed out with a tab. You can try this out with vargr. And Scott's right. So if you want to have some common code practices for how you write certain things, like I don't know, Glad Ajax, or maybe you don't want folks to use Glad records and you want them to use a template to use Glad queries, this would be a great way to start to try to help folks make better or make code you all agree on. Thanks, Scott. Recently, I've been working with instance scans more than I've been before. I like to set them up to follow, to enforce snake casing and that kind of stuff. But the easiest way to do that would be with regex, but that's not the way you should do these things. You should do it with an abstract syntax tree and then comparing the values of those named elements. This fellow does a really good job on writing up how to use the abstract syntax tree to make these checks happen. Thanks, Boopender. Ashley Snyder is writing like Alexander Hamilton. I appreciate all the content, Ashley, even though I haven't had time to make my notes from it yet. I'll have links to those below with everything else I've discussed so far. When I started working with Discovery, I was told to follow Doug Scholes. I have, and it's been great. He doesn't put a lot of stuff out there often, but when he does, it's worth the read every time. He just wrote a post about converting computers to personal computers. If that sounds like you could use that, I'd recommend reading it, or look at anything else he's posted. So, Certified System Administrator Fundamentals has been extended, the free fundamentals, that is, from when it was supposed to end, which was, I think, September 1st or August 31st, to now end on October 30th. So for all of you procrastinators, you have another month or two. For everybody else, I guess, good job getting it done early. I'll have a link to the learning below. Tina Singh shared that there was some work around the known error portal. I used to follow this with a bot that I wrote whenever something got added to it, but the format of it changed and I couldn't do it programmatically. But I checked out the new known error portal and it looks really nice. I wish I could subscribe to it in a way that was meaningful. But it looks great, and I wanted to share that if you didn't know about this, this is a whole thing. It's probably something really good to check out before you move to a certain version. ServiceNow has been pushing this Build with AES program, and I found that Nia's Too Long Didn't Read very refreshing. I also wish that there was a version of ServiceNow for hobby developers or small businesses. They did used to have an offering like that, but it only lasted about a year. There were loads of problems with it, and it restricted the amount of scripting that could be done. So I struggled to advocate for something like Build with AES when it's hard to articulate what the cost value is for having Application Engine Studio. That being said, I really like the idea that Nia had made with tracking submissions to publications for writers. So thanks for sharing that, Nia. Last week, I went to an ITOM meetup, and I was talking about the changes to the personal developer instances regarding the emails and how they no longer allow sending or receiving them, with Blake M. from Minnesota here. And he told me about a change that happened a while ago. Back in October 2021, there was a post on the instance help saying that the developer program is no longer monitoring this community for issues to help folks out. And this is really concerning because in that post, they say they use the feedback button on the developer site, but that also wasn't visible, at least not anymore. So I don't know where folks go if they have problems with their personal developer instance. I know that there is a now learning thing that has a guide on how to troubleshoot your instance for the personal developer instances, but I would think that there would be some more resources behind this. I mean, maybe this is just one way to keep cutting back on the resources required to maintain the personal developer instances, but it's not clear how this program will continue to be without some sort of support. Regardless, if you have any thoughts on it, please feel free to comment below. The last thing, I posted an idea on the idea portal, and generally I don't put a lot of stock into like this becoming a thing, but I figure I'd share it here. Working more with flows and subflows, I'm finding it more important to be able to see all the things that changed. And right now, the only way to do that is to click into each element in a flow. It's not very efficient, and it's kind of painful to just like understand what's changed, especially when there's a whole bunch of extra records put in the update sets. So I put an idea to have them make it so you can simply compare one flow to a previous flow's version, like you could a script include or a business rule. Now you can do that, but it's complicated with the complex objects that get pushed into the update set. If this seems like something that you'd find useful, please go ahead and upvote the idea, and I would suggest even talking to anybody you know who works at ServiceNow about it to tell them to upvote it too or push it along. That being said, that's all I have. Have a great week, and I'll see you guys next week.